Even in 1968, the Fox logo took 15 goddamn seconds, proving this logo is a long-standing Hollywood tradition of bullying audiences.
And that completes my final report until we reach touchdown.
Narration.
I've tucked my crew in for the long sleep, and I'll be joining them soon.
Heaven's Gate. Why did NASA make this spacecraft soundproof? Apparently, even in 1968, it was an acceptable future for astronauts to be smoking a goddamn cigar in the shuttle. Apparently, even in 1968, it was an acceptable future for astronauts to place their cigar right next to flammable wall material. Okay, wait. This guy woke up from cryo sleep, left a voice message for Earth, mentioning the people who sent him on this mission are all surely dead, suggesting he's been in cryo sleep a while. Mulls around a moment, then puts himself back into cryo sleep? Do I have that right? I guess NASA didn't give this movie permission to use their name, so the filmmakers took this newfound creative liberty to switch 2 letters. Nearly 2 minutes of opening credits that do nothing for nobody. Thankfully, these cryosleep pods open when the ship encounters a problem, something 2016's passengers couldn't even get right.
Stuart.
That is one of the weirdest cuts in all of the history of film editing. 1960s uncensored zoom. 1960s horror movie screeching. The only reason this hibernation chamber is cracked and the others aren't is because it was that motherfucker Chris Pratt, wasn't it? Also, the late 60s, when the only major female human character is casually killed before even having a line. In fact, they didn't even need to hire an actress for this role. They just used a prop. God damn, other than the 2 weird minutes of opening exposition, this movie's opening 25 minutes are actually fantastic. Disorienting without explaining too much, long takes with little to no dialogue. This movie is way better than you remember it being, is what I'm saying. 2 sins off.
The air's okay!
Thank God! I mean, it's Earth, but you don't know that. So in your eyes, this is lucky as shit. You just crash-landed on a planet with air you can breathe.
She's sinking.
15 seconds of this guy giving play-by-play about the inevitable ship sinking.
You didn't have time to read the tapes.
This will be a convenient out for the movie so that these astronauts won't suspect they're on Earth, but somehow didn't have time to check the basic information. I guess ANSA really is a discount NASA.
We've got food and water enough for 3 days.
Your emergency bailout of your spaceship metallic backpacks have 3 days of rations? That's it? Dude, why even bother packing emergency ration packs then?
Apart from that, you look pretty chipper for a man who's 2,031 years old.
This dick waited until now to tell these guys the year. Like that whole raft ride over here, he said, "Man, I can't wait to spring this fact on these assholes. Let them wonder." That's my motto.
It's a fact, Landon.
Like the fake background behind me right now.
Well, if there's no life here, we've got just 72 hours to find it.
What did you just say? No, seriously, let's spell it out again for posterity.
If there's no life here, we've got just 72 hours to find it.
Notice this flag. God help you if you don't. Hey guys, so like I was saying, this looks like the Western United States, right? Doesn't it look like the Western United States? Surely they would have known what planet they were going to with a sun that looks suspiciously like ours, even if they didn't know the exact location, and even if they didn't have time to check the tapes. As much as I love this movie and its first 20 minutes, it's maybe the most Grand Canyon porn film ever made, right? Outside of those 3 connected Brady Bunch episodes, at least. This boulder, realizing the movie needed some action, decided to start falling at this very moment to give the astronauts something to do, other than imitate the Lord of the Rings the whole movie.
Cloud cover at night, that strange luminosity, yet there's no moon.
How do you know? Didn't you just land? Even if we're supposed to believe they've seen nighttime here, the movie showed none of it. Everything about this planet is wonky. Better light a cigarette. Also, with precious cargo space for this important mission, they still sent cigarettes. I'm shocked they even sent up a guy addicted to cigarettes, let alone a supply to feed that addiction. Is that why there's only room for 3 days of rations? They stopped here to smoke and argue, and they somehow all completely avoided the shade of the rock they stopped behind. Seriously, all these f***ers are in direct sunlight right now. Jeez, Dodge somehow got a half-mile lead during this conversation.
Life.
Let's immediately kill the first sign of life that we see. Take that shit up, yo! Movie overestimates my tolerance for watching people walking. Glad they made it, but they climbed down these rocks to get here, which is hilarious. I mean, I'd skip it too, because it's literally impossible, but love the movie's optimism. How unobservant do you have to be to not even be looking for danger? Tree!
Hell with the scarecrows.
That's easy to say when you don't realize you're the crow in this situation. Yes, I know you hear water, but you're on an alien planet, at least in your mind. Be weirded out by weird shit, please. Did Jerry Goldsmith really do the score for this movie? You guys have got to be astronauts. Also, I'm kind of wondering how this scene would have played out if their female colleague had lived. I'm beginning to think that is the only reason she died, so that these dudes could skinny dip in peace. Also, just 2 naked men swimming and frolicking and wooing together just 2 days after crash landing and having their crewmate die. Totally normal right here, folks. Whoa, what's happening here? I'm not judging, I just wonder if they have time for this. Finally, and only for the sake of propelling the plot, these guys see the natives that have been following them for a long time. Also, why do they steal their clothes? Is this summer camp the planet? George is only interested in who's stealing their stuff, to the point this movie can keep a G rating and keep us from seeing Charlton Heston. Also, this movie is rated G. I know the rating system doesn't come in for a few more months, so this movie was rated afterwards, but the MPAA saw this and said, general audiences! I want that MPAA back. This shot is brought to you by your local optometrist looking to make a quick buck. The crew conveniently finds stuff to cover up their naughty bits all in one place, so this whole movie doesn't have to be blocked with rocks, trees, and comically placed bananas. So all that with the running, hiding, and stealing natives was just an elaborate hello? Where and when the hell did he get a fruit? And why is he not sharing? Now the middle guy has a fruit too, but no one tossed any fruit to these f***ers.
Well, at least they haven't tried to bite us.
You think you're 2,000 years ahead in time and on an alien planet, and you're going to make a comment like this instead of something like, holy the aliens on this planet look just like we do.
They look more or less human, but I think they're mute.
You've been watching them for 30 seconds, asshole. What a weird f***ing thing to say. I shall mate with that one over there. The first reveal of the apes being accompanied by this music? Awesome. One sin removed. Why are they cutting down all the corn? The humans are running away through the corn. Apes walking slowly and chopping down all the corn should lead to the humans escaping, though this movie will claim the opposite. This is extremely inefficient netting. Doesn't even wrap around these people by the time it's done, and in fact just looks like a minor inconvenience. Then you have these assholes who go by two-man teams to catch one person. I mean, figure out a plan, guys. You've been enslaving the human race for years, and this is some cut-rate.
I'm an animal psychologist, that's all. We have no authority.
Expositional arguing.
Come on, speak. Come on, speak.
There is no reason I can think of why, after the apes took over their planet, humans forgot how to speak. Again, at this point in the movie, we don't technically know that this is Earth, but that final reveal sure makes most of the movie's scenes seem a lot more stupid, doesn't it?
He keeps pretending he can talk.
Only because he was shot in the throat earlier does his speaking ability take a while to manifest.
You know what they say, human see, human do.
Har har, hilarious but not really hilarious. Reversing of primate-based idiom is hilarious but not really hilarious. George tries to grab Zira's pen and notepad in an extremely insane animal-like way, because of course he does. But never once does Zira, who believes humans can act like the apes do, try to give the pen and notepad to him anyway, even on a whim. Because I guess pens and notepads are in scarce supply in 3978. And she probably has a ton of unfinished tic-tac-toe games written down, so wouldn't want to lose those. Also, the standard prison guard weapon here is apparently an oversized crutch. This guy was credited as super starving begging arms guy, and he was paid exactly $20 for his work, but he clearly gave it his all. Hot ape action! George writes something in the sand, and while I know that he can't talk, it's absolutely crazy he can't tap the cage or do something to get Zira's attention during this. Nova, for no other reason than the plot, starts to wipe out what George wrote in the sand. Your punishment for fighting in that cage will be to put you in another cage. That'll teach you. Thankfully for, I guess, the extras budget, this jail appears to be completely empty during this scene. How to make a female ape fall in love with you in less than 2 seconds, if you're Charlton Heston.
Fort Wayne, Indiana.
Woohoo! Shout out to Fort Wayne, where I lived for 5 years of my youth. Go you Huskies! Well, not Huskies, probably IPFW's Mastodon, which admittedly doesn't roll off the tongue as well, but does better fit the motif of the joke.
Flight is a scientific impossibility.
And yet these science-ignorant apes still somehow took over Earth at some point a century or more after humans had discovered flight. Come on, are we supposed to believe that these hyper-intelligent apes haven't figured out paper airplanes? These assholes are talking about brain surgery and shit, but even the simplest idea of flight never crossed their minds. Also, this ape society has learned the joys of ink pens and paper, which also suggests they have other modern things like a paper mill and machinery that can cut the paper, not to mention all the complexities of producing an ink pen. I know this movie needs a couple things to get the story going, but I'm not giving you latitude, movie.
That the ape evolved from a lower order of primate, possibly man.
Movie just thinks it can reverse everything, even evolution. This guard comes in with a leash or some rather than the lacrosse stick thing that everybody else uses.
Yes, he has found peace in heaven.
Church. Ape nets continue to be insanely bad at their job. And all that from the last several minutes is now a meaningless distraction after he gets caught again. Thanks for that, movie. I enjoyed being teased. No, seriously. Oh wait, now he's free again. Christ, this is a long chase scene. Charlton Heston's balls cam. Thankfully, these apes have a humans museum, which he fortunately wandered into on accident. Also, even more thankfully, there are somehow now only 2 dudes chasing him. Instead of mannequins, this movie uses live extras here to pose as the 3 cavemen next to our hero, and if you rewatch their footage, they are hilariously not still. So they made a museum exhibit out of his fellow crew member. That's fine, but the speed at which they did it, considering the crash was just a few days ago, is f***ing astounding. Anything for a great visual though, I guess. This is bad aim, sure, but he's also not even aiming at George. He's clearly shooting to the left. Have apes figured out that their capturing tools are yet? They seem to all break or magically spill off with little to no effort. Because the filmmakers decided to shoot this net shot in a dramatic way, this is the one that will actually capture George.
Take your stinking paws off me, you damn dirty ape!
It looks like running around like a fool around this village gave George his voice back. Or was it because he briefly walked through that church? It's a miracle! That being said, I'm also removing 2 sins for this moment, because it's iconic, and also because Rise of the Planet of the Apes later perfectly mirrors the moment with Caesar yelling no at the primate refuge. I like how they have high-powered fire hoses in this ape future, but they don't have central heat and air. Stupid apes.
Did I tell you about Stuart? Now, there was a lovely girl. She was to be the new Eve.
You see, when 3 male astronauts love 1 female astronaut very much, a gangbang occurs that produces children which will grow up and eventually incest each other. Nova, have I taught you about inbreeding yet? Well, let me By the way, what was the point of all that bullshit a few minutes ago where they took Nova out of George's cell and put her in a different one and leave, only to come back and take George away to some sort of tribunal? I'm not prison bars in this scene. Judge Dick says the defendant's robes are stinky, and immediately is rendered naked, with no thought given to the fact that his unwashed body might have been driving the bulk of the stink. Guy on trial is allowed to kneel, steal pen and paper, and write out a message without anyone objecting, all while the prosecutor is making his opening arguments.
Some apes, it seems, are more equal than others.
A great quote from the amazing George Apewell from his best-selling work, Human Farm. How in the is a horseshoe ever the right incision shape for any kind of surgery? With this, the apes now have 20% net success in this movie. With a little practice and a little luck, they could finally get into Rajon Rondo territory. Okay guys, let's try to make this see no evil, hear no evil, say no evil subtle. I mean, try. God damn it, try!
In a way, you did the state a service, because you made it possible for us to expose Zira and Cornelius.
Let's talk about the apes' plan. Despite the fact that it's much better for them to go ahead and kill or lobotomize George, and keep the status quo, they'd much rather stage a whole trial in order to expose 2 apes they suspect don't believe in their religion. Considering the power the council holds, it's actually amazing they couldn't just dispose of Zira and Cornelius through basic lies and general f***ery. I just noticed something, and I know it's taken me a long time to get here, but why do all the apes wear clothes? Sure, they might have had some sort of Adam and Eve shame, but they live in a f***ing desert, and they're covered in hair. Wearing jackets and pants? Someone get these apes a lemonade, pronto.
I give you just 6 hours to make a full confession.
Why 6? That's a super strange arbitrary number, yo. No matter what else happens in this movie, this ape smoking a stogie is cool as f***, and I'll even take a sin off for it.
Cornelius and I have been indicted for heresy.
Cornelius and Zira, who are being indicted on the charge of general assholery, are somehow able to walk around freely and plan prison breaks. Shaving cam.
I didn't realize that man could be monogamous.
This sounds like some sort of comment on human society, but what does it really mean in the context of this movie? Just because he brought 1 hot chick with him doesn't mean monogamous. It just means you guys literally paired him with the hottest woman on the planet, and she was the only one around during the prison break.
There is no contradiction between faith and science.
I probably should remove a sin for this movie mimicking real life, but let's call this a sin of honor and add one anyway.
Always giving orders, just like every other adult.
That's what this movie really needed, a whiny teen. A full minute of dialogue-free climactic beach cave exploring. This 1,000-year-old doll can somehow still make noise.
Cease fire! Withdraw! Up there!
Oh yeah, I forgot. I only use the voice that can be heard by people below me. I now need to use my above-me voice. I know Dr. Zayas told those 2 apes to withdraw, but what's really preventing them from coming back and doing a sneak attack on these sitting ducks right now?
Oh, they can't convict us of heresy? You've helped prove our innocence.
Are you f***ing kidding me? You trust this society to accept your evidence?
Don't try to follow us. I'm pretty handy with this.
But still, did you fall for the girl just because of proximity back in the cages? If she were ugly, would we still be seeing the same ending?
All my life I've awaited your coming and dreaded it. Like death itself.
That's what my ex-girlfriend told me when we had sex. About 2 minutes of build-up to a reveal that would make Rey from The Force Awakens give up. Not gonna lie, Statue of Liberty looks pretty f***ing good for 2,000 years of wear and tear. That said, I'm gonna remove 5 sins for one of the best cinematic reveals ever. I mean, what a f***ing whammy.
It's a madhouse! A madhouse!
Well, it's gonna be a scorcher. You might be pregnant now.
Gotta keep one jump ahead of the breadline, one swing ahead of the sword. I steal only what I can afford.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I'm just a caveman. I fell in some ice and later got thawed out by some of your scientists.
Oh, dear, dear, his life. Then I've only an hour to dress. What are they wearing now?
You will spend that hour getting acquainted with George Bailey.
Suicide is painless.
Then I'll defend myself. Dodge, run your soil test.
Oh, wow, did everybody hear that?
might just discover dirt.